Hey guys, how are you? Rick Stark here. We're going to be covering Get It today. So, Daryl, Chuck, Stacy, I hope this is a good overview for both you and all your folks. This is just a quick review of our new Upboard software, and it's called Get It. Get It is an acronym for Guest Experience Tracker. DSG has designed, and we're testing a new automated iPad-based Upboard. So, this is where we'll track our ups and our rotations and be able to track how well we do at satisfying our guests' needs. So some of the nice features of Get It are that it's a fully automated Upboard. It's easier to use than our manual system. It's closed loop, where our ups are dynamically collected by the hour, lets us do hourly tracking, and also gives us the ability to do advanced KPIs for our sales associates. Before I get into the basics, let me shoot out some props to my man Arnie Capitanelli for the man behind the dream, and Sasha Straub, the hardworking development team behind the software package. Some of the basics of Get It are that it's an internet-based Upboard up tracking system. It'll allow for advanced KPIs, as I mentioned. It'll also send alerts to our salespeople. So if they're first, second, or third in rotation, they'll be able to get a text or an email or both as they wish. Also be able to see the rotation on their smartphone, and we'll be able to have on the floor an iPad locked and in place for the use as an Upboard only. We'll be able to email or print the manual sheet. So if we prefer that method or need our system to print one, we've actually created a report that duplicates your old manual system exactly. So if you're used to that or would like to see that format, you'll be able to. It's a fully automated solution. We'll be getting into some of the cool features that the salespeople will be able to have, like KPIs for today, week to date, last 7 days, month to date, a reminder system and notes and dashboards. But we won't be installing that system and being allowing anybody to use it until we get the Upboard working, which brings me to the center icon, which is the Upboard for the salespeople. Once that's fully functioning, we'll be moving off into the individual salesperson metrics on the left, and we'll also be giving out some nice cool features to the managers and the administrators. So before any more ado, let's just go ahead and get started, and we will be going over the actual software and showing you a little bit about it. Let's take a look. All right, let's check out the Get It software. I'm going to go ahead and go into Store 12 and key in the password. This is for the store itself, so we can see the Upboard comes up. Got the Get It logo on the left. You see what store that you're in. You have 3 sections: with customer, that tells you everybody with a customer, who's in rotation, who's up next, and who's off the floor, either for a meal or a break or training. Those are the 3 classifications of being off the floor: meal, break, or training. If you hit out, of course, you would leave and you'd be out of the building, off work. Let's go ahead and join some people to start the day. Candy, David, Debbie, and Donna. Let's go ahead and put them on the board. They come right down here into section 2 for in rotation. And so we can see that there's only 2 choices. When you're in rotation, you can either be with the customer or you can be off of the floor. So with rotation, of course, moves you up with customer. Off of rotation would put David down here on break, and maybe he's going to go do some training. And so if we wanted a few more people to join, maybe Dwight and Eva and Heather want to, maybe they came in and they want to join in rotation, we can put them in order. So in rotation, we have off, which would put you down here off the floor, and we have with. If you go with the customer and you're number 1, you just move up automatically. Now, if Heather wanted to go with and she was out of order, we'd get this confirmation status, which would say, hey, you're trying to change your status to with a customer, but you're not number 1. Is this a TO or a B back or some other situation? So we track this. We know exactly if anybody's going with a customer and they're doing it out of order. If it's a B back, you can see that we mark the B back right there with that check. Heather stays in her same order, and she's grayed out, but she will continue to move up in rotation. So that's how we move out of rotation. You either go off the floor, which is down here on meal, break, or training, or go with a customer. And if you can go with a customer and you're number 1, it happens normally. If you're not in number 1, you're going to be asked, is this a TO or a B back? All right, now if we look up here in the with customer section, if Candy finishes with a customer, she can hit back in rotation, and we get to know if she made the sale and filled out prospect card. Maybe when Heather is finished, she too wants to go back into rotation, and she can capture guest name information, guest description, number in the group, or if your store uses slightly different collections, you can add that information there, and we will collect it and maintain it. If she goes back in rotation, maybe she didn't make the sale but did get a prospect card. So lots of the things that you saw on your old rotation log, we will be maintaining those. You can go directly from with the customer to off, and that would put you down maybe on break. And that, along with everything else, how long that you're in training, how much that you're on break, how much you're in meal, the 3 statuses off the floor, how long that you're in rotation, and how long that you're with customers, all of those 3 segments are tracked. So we know how many minutes out of the day that you were on the board itself, that you had joined the Upboard. And we also know, based on the 3 statuses, of how long you were off the floor in rotation or with customer, which might be very helpful. Okay, so that goes over how we join a board. We join the board through this button. We also know how we go with a customer. We choose that from being in rotation. We know that once you're in rotation, how you go back in rotation is by checking the back in rotation box. We also know that if you join the rotation, you can either do that as a B back and or a TO. And if you do it as a TO or if you do it as a B back, then we know that we also track the order that you were at and maintains that order up into the number 2 position. We've also seen how you can go directly from with a customer to on break. A few small nuances is maybe that you need to join the Upboard and you are a salesperson that does not normally work here. And so you would have your login and password, and then that would enable you to join the Upboard. And so we can see Deborah Haddix there. Doesn't normally work in Ashley Home Store Tyler, but she wanted to be added to the Upboard. So if you ever have a situation where you have a salesperson that wants to join an Upboard, add additional salesperson to the lineup, you can do it right there. And so as you choose folks that are normally in the store, they can be added. And if you choose anyone that isn't normally at the store, you can add them as well. We have gone over some of the rotation aspects here with the guest name and adding the additional information. Sometimes we get into a situation where we have the salespeople going with the customers throughout the day. And then what happens? We actually get into overflow. And overflow would be when we have a situation where we do not have any salespeople that are in rotation. And we have accommodated for this. We track this situation. We also allow you to manage your cap out by the hour, so you can add any additional ups that you might have taken while in overflow. We monitor this and we'll be able to report on overflow, so we know exactly how long that situation lasts, and will allow us to be able to staff for success more appropriately. And so now as the day goes on and we say, okay, well, we've gone back into rotation, we can see that the overflow status has been turned back off, and I can register the status of this, the success of each of the salespeople as they go back in rotation. And I can log that, and every one of those, just the way your normal log works, we would have all that same information. And then once we have a clear floor, if we were to close for the day or finish up for the day, or any time during the day, you could actually go in and show your standard rotation log. So click that button and you'll be able to see your log, and you'll also be able to email it, so you can see that we've had a lot of different transactions through there. And so you can key in an email address and hit send, and that would send you the log, and it shows the wins, the with count, the salesperson, time in, time out, number in the group. I wasn't filling in a lot of that additional information, but if I did, you would see it here. The closed sales or the prospect cards filled out. So you can see that log that you're very much used to anytime that you'd like. You can print it or email it at the end of the day. Now, once the doors are closed and we want to come off of rotation, we can mark those, and maybe somebody stays in rotation in case we get a late person. Then we can start having people leave or mark out for the day, and then they actually exit. And we will take the last person off of rotation, And you'll notice that we go into overflow, because that is the definition of overflow, is when we don't have anyone in rotation. That overflow actually has to be active for over a minute before it actually starts counting. A little nuance to be able to let you to log out for the day and not actually count for an overflow. And this is where we started. We started with an empty board where we started joining people, and then when they would go into rotation, they would move with customer, and they would come off the floor. We covered each of the situations where in rotation you could go off, which would put you down here, or go with, which would put you up with customer. And you can do that either through standard rotation or be back or TO. Once you're done, you can go back off or back in rotation, which would put you to either one of these two boxes. That's a quick overview, and I'm sure a lot of the practice is going to come from using the software. I'd like to hit a few other things that we'll cover right now. All right, the last couple of things I wanted to mention is the cap out procedure, and that is where you just choose what date, which would either be today, the day before, or 2 days before. We only have the previous 2 days plus today to be able to cap out. Then, of course, the information resides over at DSG Online. And so the process is very simple. You just choose the date. Once you choose the date, then the next thing you would do is you would click on your name. And so as you click on your name, it will bring up enter your password. This just makes sure that we don't have people playing with anybody else's ups. So to make this change, you would have to enter that password. Once you do enter the password, then you're able to go to the amount of time and have an additional up added. So you can enter positive or negative ups if you need to correct the total number of ups, and then you would press the save key, and the save key would save it. So this is a simple procedure that allows us to be able to do the cap out procedure. Up at the top, you would see any hours that you would have that would be an overflow. So you can notice the overflow and when it might have happened and what hour it happened in. And then you can either add or subtract ups as necessary to be able to modify the total by hour. And this gives you complete flexibility to be able to handle the cap out procedure that you would normally do in DSG Online. You can do this now by doing it right actually in the application itself. All right. We'll be running for this coming week's test. We're only going to be running both systems where we still have the manual system working the way we normally have, and we'll be using the upboard. So we'll be using both systems to give everybody a 1 week period to be able to get used to it, but not to worry about making any mistakes. And then we'll also be auditing to make sure that the two systems match. We'll want to be doing it as carefully as we can. You can report any perceived bugs or any things that you feel like isn't working properly. We can send those back as well and make any modifications before we go live. We'll also have a help desk where Stacy and Sasha will be available, and you can contact them to be able to have any assistance. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. We'd love to visit with you, and we're looking forward to our 1 week beta test of our new Get It system.